Fair warning with this video, we are not going to be talking about Deonta Foreman. I'm not going to be talking about Jackson Smith-Njigba. Those are guys that should have been long gone from your waiver wire. If they are out there right now, they are your number one pickup priorities. I don't want to waste your time and talk about players that are rostered in pretty much 60 to 70% of leagues at this point. I'm only going to be looking at players that are rostered in fewer than 50% of Yahoo Fantasy leagues for this video. Starting off with our first guy. He was on the waiver wire video, I want to say 2 to 3 weeks ago. And then I said, you know what? Yeah, you can drop Emari Demercado. We looked at this running back backfield in week 6, and you were saying, oh my gosh, okay. You get a little bit of Keontae Ingram, you get a little bit of Demercado. It's a 3-man running back by committee. Can't really rely on anyone. This week I was saying, you know what? Bench everyone. If you have to start someone, we're going to go Keontae. Really, the only way a running back can be viable in Arizona is if you have them getting every single touch out of the backfield. You can see that with Demercado only being rostered in 14% of leagues now. I think the majority of people did drop him. And yeah, this week, he had everything, ladies and gentlemen. Keontae Ingram did not see a single snap. Keontae Ingram was an afterthought. Demercado has 53 snaps. Damian Williams only at 12. And if you're going to be looking at the overall touches, he has 13 carries in comparison to Damian Williams, only with 1. He is involved as a receiver as well. This is going to be one of the more exciting things about this profile is in that full PPR format, you are looking at a running back that's seeing 5 targets out of the backfield. We know that he has bigger playability. What you're really going to need to see is we're really going to need to see this offense improve overall. Now, hopefully there's a quarterback waiting in the wings. Hopefully there's someone that will be back in a few weeks. And we'll talk about him later in the video. But at that point, maybe you have James Conner back in, so may not help you regardless. Now, going over to our other backfield we need to talk about. We were also saying bench every single Los Angeles Ram that you had coming into the week. Shefty said, oh, okay, it's going to be Darrell Henderson and Royce Freeman. I, for whatever reason, thought Shefty may be pulling our leg. I went, okay, he's saying it's going to be Henderson, Royce Freeman. I still don't know. Of course, we should have just listened to him. It was Henderson and Royce. Henderson sees 39 snaps. Royce Freeman sees 29. This is not a 3-man committee. Instead, it's only a 2-man committee. And for that reason, these guys should be viable. Just like what we were saying this morning, if I had to pick between the two, I am going to go Darrell Henderson. Now, of course, Royce Freeman does lead the team in rushing. He has 66 yards in comparison to Henderson at 61. But Henderson walks away with the rushing touchdown. And on top of that, and almost more importantly, Henderson's the running back that is seeing more work and seeing more snaps in this offense. He has 39 snaps comparison to Royce Freeman at 29. He has 18 carries comparison to Royce Freeman only at 12. We have Kyren Williams on the IR. With Kyren on the IR, I think that you have Henderson as a low-end RB2 from a week-to-week perspective. The issue is he's not really going to catch the ball. You'd like him a little bit more in a non-PPR league. And then I think you have Royce Freeman as well rosterable. I think that Royce Freeman's more so going to be that mid RB3. This week, when you have no teams on bye for week 8, you're probably not as excited about Royce. But when we go over to week 9, you're going to have 4 teams on bye. Week 10, you're going to have another 4 teams on bye. So you're probably in a spot then those weeks. Royce Freeman could be a running back that you're stuck looking at. Now, going over to a few running backs that are actually coming off their bye weeks. First guy I need to talk about is Tyjae Spears. Now, with Spears, we have talked about him over and over and over again all season. Every single waiver wire video this guy's kind of on. I just wanted to bring him up, saying he's only rostered in 42% of Yahoo leagues. And Derrick Henry may get traded this week. The trade deadline is October 31st. And it may be a scary day for Tennessee Titans fans. Because if you look at the incentives for this Titans team, where there are already trade rumors surrounding Derrick Henry, I'm not just out here making this up. The Titans have no real incentive to go out there and push to try to compete right now. I mean, we saw them this last week. They looked horrendous before the bye. They are sitting at 2-4. They've dropped the last 2 weeks. Ryan Tannehill dealing with an injury. The Jags are running away with the division at 5-2. So the Titans are about in the state of mind, at least in my mind, you know what? Let's go ahead. Let's punt this season. Let's instead go get a quarterback at the very top of this year's draft. I mean, there's only 2 teams in the NFL right now with a worse record than Tennessee. I think that there is a definite possibility that they ship Derrick Henry out of here. And Spears has been a running back, still getting plenty involved, even with Derrick Henry in this offense. What's most impressive is he's at 20 targets with LD Derrick Henry. Is there a running back that's getting involved on third downs? And in these games where the Tennessee Titans are trailing, he's actually going out there and playing more snaps than Henry as well. Now, a running back we talked about on our waiver wire video last week, we were saying, don't pick him up this week. Put a reminder on your phone. I'm going to be that reminder for you. Devin Singletary is worth a pickup now. He's made it through the bye. Now we are going into week 8. And what we are looking at with Singletary is a running back that before the bye week actually led the Houston Texans both in snaps as well as touches. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say Devin Singletary will be inside my top 24 running. I have no idea. What I do know is the Houston Texans are looking at Damian Harris and seeing one of the least efficient running backs in the NFL so far this season, sitting with fewer than 3 yards per carry. This past week, Devin Singletary played more snaps, had more touches, and he is the guy that this coaching staff signed this offseason. And I like Dameon Pierce coming into the year. I thought Dameon Pierce was a great value in round 6, but it looks like I was just flat out wrong. Looks like I need to take a massive L here. I'm not going to assume that Singletary is all of a sudden the full-blown start and you need to start him this week. In reality, I think it's probably a split backfield between the 2 guys. Now, as we pull up the wide receivers here, let me, of course, remind you, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you want to check out my favorite pick'em on Underdog Fantasy tonight, that's going to be Jordan Addison with the 2x multiplier to score a touchdown. I wouldn't like it at even odds. Going to give me the 2x multiplier. I will take that. And if you wanted to check out any of those other ones, or if you wanted to get a Brock Purdy special pick'em more than less than half a total yard, now is by far and away the best time to get on Underdog. Because when you use promo code FLOCK, you're going to be getting that Brock Purdy special pick'em more than less than half a total yard, a 100% deposit match, our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers, and on top of that, an Amon-Ra St. Brown special pick'em more than less than half a total yard, only for code FLOCK users, and a LeBron James special pick'em more than less than half a total point for NBA tip-off. So literally 3 special pick'ems the same week. Literally never happens. Make sure you take advantage of that with code FLOCK. Now, going over to wide receivers, I am very surprised to see this. Josh Downs somehow is only rostered in 36% of Yahoo leagues. I don't know how that's possible. I mean, with Josh Downs, the wide receiver that 2 weeks ago against Jacksonville had 8 targets, had the receiving touchdown. We've seen Josh Downs so far this season, I mean, at this point, be sitting with 47 targets on the year, 33 receptions, 401 receiving yards. And what's most encouraging is going to be the usage that we've had with no Anthony Richardson in this offense. If you're looking at what you've had with instead Gardner Minshew, you've actually seen more consistent passing volume here. Not saying that Gardner Minshew is a better quarterback than Anthony Richardson. Of course, I wouldn't say that. But because Minshew's not going to go out there and run the ball as much as what you would expect with Richardson, he still did run it this week, of course. I mean, you're just getting so many passing attempts overall. Like that 12-target game against the Ravens, that was from Minshew. 2 weeks ago against the Jags with the receiving touchdown, that was from Minshew. This past week, that was from Minshew. He's coming off a game with 125 receiving yards and the receiving touchdown. Looks like Gardner Minshew really does like Josh Downs. There will be passing volume in this offense. And I really like Josh Downs coming out of school as well. It's a wide receiver that broke on early in his collegiate career. It's a wide receiver that dominated targets as a sophomore. And this is a wide receiver that declared as a junior. Check pretty much every single boxes for us this offseason. Now, Kendrick Bourne will be someone that we talk about just briefly. Bourne still only rostered in 26% of leagues. He's the clear wide receiver 1 in New England. I don't care if Juju comes back this next week. He goes out there, he gets another receiving touchdown this week, leads the team in targets with 7, has 6 receptions, 63 receiving yards, and the receiving touchdown. I think that the ceiling will be capped just given how bad this New England Patriots offense is. But still, nonetheless, as we approach these buys, if we need a depth wide receiver the next few weeks, just like we said last week, Bourne is your guy. Now, I wasn't going to mention him, But we had a lot of people in the comment section asking us about Odell Beckham Jr. with our video Sunday night. And I want to at least talk about Odell, because I have a feeling that now everybody's going to be running to pick up Odell off their waiver wire. And Odell did go out there and have a great day in Baltimore. He had 7 targets. I mean, you like to see it. He had 5 receptions. He had 49 receiving yards. And yeah, this Baltimore Ravens offense looked superb. Am I rushing to pick up Odell Beckham Jr.? Hell to the no. I love Odell. If y'all don't know, I mean, the old intro to this YouTube channel used to be the duck going through and getting the Odell catch. It was awesome. We should bring it back.
That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
But realistically speaking, this is a wide receiver that has had 3, 4, 4, 4, and 7 targets this season. I don't know what would have to happen for you to be able to confidently start Odell Beckham Jr. in your lineup. I would way rather use that roster spot on an extra running back that's an injury away from actually making a difference than going through and picking up Odell just so we can have some name value at the bottom end of our bench. I love Odell. Love him, but we can't roster him. Now, going over to the quarterback position, we are going to have Kyler Murray. With Kyler, this is a QB that's may not necessarily be the best real life player. Not going to come out here and say from an NFL perspective, I love Kyler Murray. But from a fantasy perspective, he is great, ladies and gentlemen. There's one main reason for this, and that is going to be the rushing production. If you look at 2021, 2020, and 2022, Kyler Murray has averaged about 40 rushing yards per game, and he has averaged the QB 5 finish over the past 3 seasons. I don't necessarily think that Kyler Murray is going to be a top 5 quarterback as soon as he comes back from this injury. I don't love the overall offense that surrounds him. No, I don't love this coaching staff. I don't love the fact that he's coming off an injury. But with that being said, do I think that Kyler Murray can be a mid to low end quarterback 1? Hell yes, I think so. I think that you could rank out Kyler Murray once he is back close to like the QB 8, QB 9, someone that you are fine almost starting regardless of the matchup. Now, with that being said, Rappaport's coming out saying Kyler could return in week 9, most likely going to return in week 10. So it does suck, but you're not going to get Kyler back this week. Now, let's go over to tight ends. Dalton Kincaid rostered in 42% of leagues. With Kincaid, I didn't draft him a ton just because typically I don't like drafting rookie tight ends. Look how Sam Laporte is doing me dirty this year, and I think maybe we're going to get the same thing with Dalton Kincaid, where Dalton Kincaid this week actually leads the Buffalo Bills in receiving with 8 targets, 8 receptions, and 75 receiving yards. Kincaid is on that upwards ascension. Now, I will say I'm not full-blown labeling Dalton Kincaid as the must-start tight end this next week. I think we probably rank Dalton Kincaid as that low-end tight end 1, high-end tight end 2 for the time being. If you need a tight end, we can start him right now, but in reality, we're more so picking him up and more so excited about him for his rest of season upside. You're looking at him for what we're going to be getting specifically weeks 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, if we begin to see less and less Dawson Knox, because Knox did end up seeing the majority of the snaps in this offense. But I think that's all I have for you on this video. If you have not done so already, please go down there, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you wanted to check out any of those pickups over on Underdog, you can find that link in the description, in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match, plus our rest of season fantasy football rankings and tiers. And only with promo code FLOCK are you also going to get 3 special pickups this week. Literally never seen anything like it. Make sure you take advantage. Or to get a Brock Purdy special pick 'em more than less than half a total yard, a LeBron James special pick 'em more than less than half a total point, and an Amon-Ra St. Brown special pick 'em more than less than half a total yard as well. So please make sure you're taking advantage of that while you can. But I think that's all I have for you. Again, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I really do appreciate you. Really hope you have a great day, and really hope we get to see you on the live stream later tonight.